Hi everyone, let's create together this easy, beginner-friendly mandala 15 centimeters sea coral. The biggie piece I'm creating for my Patreon page, so you can join. Link in description box below this video, as well as all materials for this one. So let's start it. So obviously we're starting with the marks. We are finding the center. I'm linking video how you can do this. And by putting perpendicular, we can create one line, choosing another segment, middle line, and this way we are finding our center. And after that, I'm moving a line, and every 1 centimeters I will create circles later on. Every 15 degrees I'm creating lines like that. This is the marks. This makes really easy to understand where we are with our painting, and we'll remove when everything dry out and we finished. And as I said, every 1 centimeters circles. When you finished, we can start with our painting. So the colors I will use for this and for bigger piece is the same one, all in description box below this video, pretty bright. You can create some of them literally by mixing dark one with lighter one, with white even, but I will choose all colors that already ready to use. And the center dot I'm making with Teaberry color. You can come back with the tool a couple of times, add more and more paint to make your dot really visible. And move your paint or correct your circle with thin tool, if you need, obviously. And after that, I will move around with small dots. As you see, I'm placing a dot with coral blush every third line. So I'm passing by 2 lines and my dot on a third line and our first circle line. You can see this on the video. Again, you can come back a couple of times with the paint to make your dots more visible, more pop out from the surface. Like that. And now let's play around these ones. So I will put a little bit dots on the top, but because color is so bright, I'm really considering what color to use between these lines. So as you see, I'm going with our gel green, and I'm putting these dots on the next circle line in the spot between previous dots. It's really visible on your screen. Again, we're leaving a lot of space to play around with smaller dots later on. Sometimes it's easier to wait until everything dries out to compact and create small dots around. And now I'm putting 2 small dots and one on the top, like you can see on a video. And the color is Sea Breeze. As I said, all materials in the description box below this video. So it's easier to put first 2 and after that third one on the top. And as always, we are making our dots as close as possible but not touching each other. And last one. And now with a smaller tool and the same color, I'm walking around and leading this waist to the space between our previous dots. Really careful because paint's still fresh and we don't want to mess up. Like that. Really gentle and beautiful, and all these dots so bright and visible on a black base. Let's do a little bit on the top. The color I will use is Amaze-Mint, really shade, greenish bluish color, more like mint, more greenish. And again, I put in, as you see on these circle lines, 2 dots and one on the top. With the same rules, as close as possible but not touching each other. This is really interesting colors combination. I'm planning to do some kind of a video 3E course about the colors combinations, so wait for this. And yeah, it's still visible and you can still separate these tones from each other. And the last one. And I'm walk around, but I will use another color in this case to make this, to double down on these contrast colors that usually we are not using together. I'm walking around with coral shell, and look how it's immediately combine our colors like that. Space, we don't have like too much space, so be careful with your dots. Try not do this still on the top of each other. Play between dots like that. Look how beautiful it is, really beautiful. I like this. It was risky to choose this color, but I really like it. And let's play on this niche between our previous, let's call it flowers, why not? I want to create a base with another bright color, with a Peacock Teal. These ones, as you see, on a third line from the angle, circle line, and lines, as you see, it's going between our flowers. this one really big. This will be the base. We can put 3D drops on the top later on. And let's do some dots around the same way as we just created, but kind of opposite. So with coral shell, I will put 2 dots the same way and one on the top. So the same 3 dots on the top, a little bit bigger this time. And again, play with the space. In my case, I'm playing like between this second from the angled circle line, but this could be different for you. You also can choose a little bit smaller size for these dots, but I'm planning to put 3 drops on the top, so that's why they're so technically not too big but not too small. So because I'm planning ahead, I decided to go with this side, but you can do the smaller ones and, for example, not putting 3 drops on the top. So this is your choice, your art. So I'm trying to inspire you to create your own art anyways. And with Amaze-Mint, in this case, I will walk around. If you see any bubbles with a needle, just remove it. And as I said, with Amaze-Mint, I'm walking around. And going towards this line between the flowers, like that. Again, we are combining colors, pretty bright colors that usually we are not combining together. That's why it's kind of tricky, but we will do our best to create this. With small brush, I will play with the stroke a little bit. So the color is Coral Blush, and I decided to go with the stroke from this space. So this is the second circle line from the angle, if you can find angle in circle. And I'm going between flowers, but I'm not touching those with a brush, as you see on the video, like that. Don't rush. If you worry to mess up with the strokes, wait until your dots dried out and you can play with strokes after that. And finishing like that. And more strokes. Let's come back to the Amaze-Mint. I want to start with lighter colors before we are moving to the brighter ones. And I'm starting a little bit on the top from the first line from the angle, like that. I'm like trying to cover a little bit our flowers. And you can use the same brush. I did choose a little bit bigger one because these strokes are kind of long. But you see, again, I'm walking around and releasing brush, not touching these dots at the center. This is pretty simple way how we can train our brain, our hand to create strokes. Pressing and releasing brush. And you see immediately we added this Amaze-Mint and it's not so warm anymore, our painting. But it's really amazed me how these colors are really a good combination, as you see. So the next one, I want to add a little bit strokes with Teaberry. Because we didn't use this on these flowers, just the small ones on the top. I don't need to go really down, just over there on the top. And I will start really from the angle, obviously not exactly 1 millimeter below, but really small ones. I'm not going even to the end, just the top, maybe half, like that. Just adding this tone to this part of your mandala. Like that. And finishing and playing, as you see, more like between our flowers to play with the space. So let's do a little bit warmer this part now by adding more bright color over there, coming back to Teaberry that we use for the central part. And as you see, I'm doing like small strokes. So I'm starting a little bit below, and again I'm doing like 2 small strokes and releasing my brush because I will create on the bottom of these flowers another strokes. But again we added this color and it's again a little bit warmer, our combination, our palette now. Even not warm, but we kind of did balance cold and warm colors. Like that. And we're coming back a little bit bigger brush. You can technically use the same. The color is Peacock Tail, and as you see, I'm creating 2 small strokes, like covering this the bottom of our flowers. I'm trying not to touch these strokes, but if they're touching in your particular painting, that's fine. I'm just giving you what we are going towards. And as you see, I'm using only bottom part. As I said, on the top we did this Teaberry and Teaberry color, and bottom we're covering with this a little bit colder color, but we will use 3D drops that can balance our combination. And finishing. Like that. So as I said, try not to touch each other. We need to wait until everything dry out before we added any 3D drops. But I want to play with this space over there. And again, I'm making this a little bit warmer. I will play with Teaberry color. Really small brush, if you can find like really small one. Or try to play with small brush and like just not press too much. I'm making like really small strokes as you see on the video. I like that. Going towards the central dot on the edge. Again, you see immediately our painting became warmer. This really small detail, like changing our impression from the painting. And let's add a little bit another color that we didn't add at this part. So this is our jewelry green to balance our colors. Again, I will talk more about the colors combination on my video about how we can combine, choose colors. And again, with the smallest tool, smallest strokes, technically you can do this even with a tool without using a brush. Like small strokes really below on the edge. But again, this is nuance that make your mandala more interesting. Like that. So we need to wait until everything dry out and we can put more details on the top. So as you see, it's dried and you can see a little bit, it looks like light now. So I will use these Nuvo 3D drops. All materials in description, as I said. So I will do a little bit on the top in the central part. Still not too big, so you can see the base color. And I want to add small dots in the central part. I will put between these dots. The color is, let's use Sea Breeze. It looks really bright, but again, this way we are combining colors. And you see the central part now playing like different role. And let's do more with Peacock tail, because we didn't use this in central part. I will use this with the same small tool. 1.5 millimeter will be enough. Like that. And on top of there, you can technically add 3D drops, but I wanna play with the paint and I will add coral shell. Just smaller tool and let's create dots on the top. As you see, the base color is still visible and this is the main point. Like that. Now let's come back to the 3D drops. The same color and like put on this base small ones. You can leave it like that, or with thin tool create like small tails towards the center. And over there also I'm playing the same way, but this time I will use needle, or you can use a thin tool to create small tails towards the center of mandala, like that. This space also interesting. I want to place, you can use 3D drops. I will use again this light coral shell color. Again, we're playing with the space. We're playing with this colors combination to change palette, to make it more interesting, to add small, additional but so important details. And again, 3D drops we can play over there a little bit more. So as I said, small drops on the top, and over there also I want to add small one on the base of this, technically flower. Because our painting is so small, we can literally place all dots, and after that create tails. Again, I will use needle because it is so small, like that. And let's put over there between flowers also 3D drops. This time could be a little bit bigger because we got a little bit more space. And thin tools towards between our strokes. So hope you enjoy this painting. Join my Patreon page to see this 30 centimeters piece with the same materials. And see you on next video. Bye!